Before I got my financial life in order, I vaguely knew that I should have a bunch of different accounts like checking, savings, Roth IRA, but the missing piece for me was how they all work together and how my money should be routed through them. And it really clicked when I understood that I could set up this system once and customize it to how I liked it, and then automate all my transfers and put saving for all my goals on autopilot and make it a lot easier to actually accumulate the money that I wanted to accumulate. That might sound complicated to set up, but you can make it as simple as you want it to be. It's still going to be helpful, and you can always add to it later. And the best way I found to conceptualize my overall account setup is with a simple money flow chart. So let's make one.
Okay, the core idea is that your checking account is the brains of the operation. It's the central hub that directs your money to other accounts that are better at growing your money than your checking account is. So the purpose of your checking account is to be really good at moving money around automatically, and it definitely shouldn't charge you any fees or make you remember to have to do something to avoid fees, like maintain a certain balance or have a certain number of transactions each month. Then you've got some type of income coming in, maybe multiple types. It could be from a salary once or twice a month. It could be variable from self-employment. It could be a salary you're paying yourself from your savings while you're taking time off. That income should be directly deposited, if possible, from your employer into your checking account to save you time. But wait, based on your employment, you'll likely have some opportunities to siphon off some of your income into special accounts before it hits your checking account. Why would you want to do that? It's because these accounts have special tax rules that mean you can decrease the amount of taxes you have to pay on the income that you put in those accounts. I'm going to walk through the options I had at my last job, but I would check with your employer to see what options are available to you, and there are also similar options for self-employed folks. This is supposed to be a shining sun for retirement. 401ks, 403bs, and 457bs are types of employer-offered retirement accounts. Contributing to these lets you pay less in taxes now based on how much you contribute. Depending on the type of health insurance plan you've chosen, you may have access to a flexible spending account, FSA, or a health savings account, HSA. They both also let you save money on taxes, but they have different rules for how you can use them. The HSA is actually the only account where you don't have to pay any taxes on any of the money ever, even when you withdraw it, provided you follow the rules of the account. But to get it, you have to be signed up for a high deductible health plan, or HDHP, which comes with its own downsides, which I talk about here. Then you might also have access to a commuter benefit account, which also allows you to siphon off a portion of your paycheck before taxes, this time to pay for transportation. So all of these special accounts let you save money on taxes. I'd take advantage of that and have your employer automatically send at least some portion of your paycheck each month to whichever of these you have access to. Because once your income hits your checking account, it gets taxed. I know one exception to that, and that's the traditional IRA, where even though the money does hit your checking account first, contributions can reduce your taxable income for the current year if you meet the requirements. Let's move to savings accounts. You'll want to have a special savings account that's your designated emergency fund that has some chunk of cash saved up in case you have any unexpected expenses, like you lose your job or have a health emergency or you have flood damage, stuff like that. This could be anywhere from 3 to 9 times your monthly expenses, depending on what you're comfortable with and how stable your income is. If you don't have this yet, you can set a reoccurring transfer from your checking account to build this up. Then when it's however big you want it to be, is that popcorn? I don't know. You can stop these transfers and send that money somewhere else and forget about that account until you need to use the money again and replenish it. So we'll just put that over there so it's on its own. But you'll want other savings accounts too for the stuff you know you'll want to buy in the next year or two or more, depending on your goals. What this looks like for me is I automatically transfer a little each month to save for things like trips coming up, wedding gifts, Christmas gifts, and other large, infrequent expenses like a new computer. And I don't make these exact. Like, I have a wedding to go to in 10 months and I'm going to gift $300, so I need to set up an auto transfer for $30 each month. You can do that if you want, but I found that it's a little onerous and there's uncertainty around a lot of things, like when am I going to need a new computer? So what I like to do is just make generous contributions to myself for all those types of things. And when it gets to be over a certain amount, I make a one-time transfer of the excess to one of my investment accounts. And your goals could all technically be under one savings account with one account number. Some savings accounts have features like buckets that let you create virtual sub-accounts within a savings account. I have a separate savings account for my emergency fund just to keep that really separate. Then I have another savings account for everything else. Both my emergency fund and other savings is in a high yield online savings account. Like the checking account, don't settle for one with fees, but instead of being best at moving money around, your savings accounts should be optimized for what I like to call the highest no strings attached interest rate. What I mean is some savings accounts are like, we'll pay you this super high interest rate if you maintain $1,000 balance or $5,000 balance. I don't want to have to remember any special rules like that. Besides, the point of having money in cash versus investing it is so you can withdraw it whenever you need with no consequences. For longer term savings that you don't need within 5 years or so, you'll want to be transferring money automatically to investment accounts. These could be accounts like a traditional or Roth IRA, a 529 plan for educational expenses, and a regular taxable brokerage account. The simple way I map out my investments is its own topic, so I'm going to break that into another video, but the gist is I make automatic contributions to those accounts each month from my checking account too. So far we've talked about all the paying yourself first transfers, but there's also paying for daily life. I try to put everything possible on my credit card so I can get credit card points for things I'm going to buy anyways, and I set up auto pay so that the balance is paid in full every month. Basically, the credit card company is paying me for routing my spending through their infrastructure, and in my mind, I treat it the same as if I was paying for everything directly from my checking account, which is basically what's happening, just on a delayed cycle. Then for anything I can't put on my credit card, it gets set up on the bill pay feature of my checking account. The main thing in this category for me is my rent. So my checking account is set up to mail a physical check to my landlord each month. So overall, all of these arrows are automatically transferring money each month without you having to do a thing. The amounts are going to be highly variable based on your situation and your goals, and you'll want to check back every so often, especially as your expenses change. I leave about a month's worth of expenses as a buffer in my checking account, just in case, but other than that, I try to have my money spend as little time as possible in my checking account and have it quickly sent away to all these other accounts where it can grow faster. Besides my expenses, those I pay as late as possible. Of course, it's a balance because you don't want to withdraw more than you have in your checking account at any given time. What this looked like for me was I scheduled these transfers to be as conservative as possible, like very conservative amounts, even just $5, well less than what I thought I could afford. Then I slowly raised most of them and tinkered with it for several months based on how much money was left in my checking account at the end of each month. I didn't really talk about this bit down here, so in the next video, I'm going to share the simple way I think about my investment accounts. It helps me have the peace of mind that I'm saving for my whole life and not just retirement. Right over here. And if another video is showing there instead, it just means I haven't made it yet. Bye.